Maleficent 2014 was a Disney live-action remake directed by Robert Stromberg. It is one of the earlier Disney live-action remakes and is easily among the most engaging and interesting. The titular character, Maleficent, is played by Angelina Jolie, who does an incredible job portraying her character. While most of the acting in Maleficent is excellent, many people find Angelina Jolie's the most iconic. The movie begins by preparing the audience for the story and establishing the setting. They use a similar fairy tale narration to the one in the 1959 cartoon Sleeping Beauty to show specific events in the movie. A young Maleficent lives in the moors with the rest of the fairies. She meets a young Stefan, which sets the rest of the film in motion. As they get older, Stefan stops coming to see Maleficent until the ruler of the human kingdom decides to conquer the moors. The journey that ensues revolves around bitter revenge and the healing of Maleficent's compassion. This movie works for me. It has its problems, but they are minor and pale in comparison to the good aspects of the film. Creating a story based on the reasons behind Maleficent's evils is a clever concept, but the screenplay and acting make it so much more believable. I can understand the motivation behind everything the characters do. The movie isn't merely a live-action adaptation of a beloved cartoon that just tells it from a new angle, but it is a movie that stands on its own feet and tells a compelling story about a woman overcoming tragic wounds and learning to be compassionate again. The screenplay, written by Linda Wolverton, is also really compact. She concisely communicates exactly what is happening, especially in Maleficent's, but in all the different characters' lives. Maleficent's character arc is the storyline present throughout the movie and is the highlight of the experience. The transitions from innocent girl to lonely woman, and then from that to the villainous monster during the second act, are incredibly smooth. The movie makes good use of special effects throughout its runtime. They show various magical creatures and enchantments via 3D computer animation, most of which looks quite well. Even if it were not a live-action Disney remake necessarily, it was the correct choice for this story to be told through a combination of live-action and 3D computer animation. A more lifelike and serious medium to tell a story focused much more on character development than the story of Sleeping Beauty. Of course, traditional animation can tell a vast and moving story just as well as live action. Still, I think it was beneficial to the creative team to have talented actors and special effects to tell the story they were trying to tell because they could fully utilize the life in the actors' eyes and faces. But like I said, Maleficent has its problems. The three fairies are the one thing I hate the most about this movie. Out of all the CGI creatures in the film, they look the absolute worst. And out of all the character dynamics, theirs are the absolute worst. I would dismiss them as annoying side characters if I didn't know how amazing the fairies were in Sleeping Beauty. But the filmmakers ruined them and made them the worst characters in the movie. The scene where they give magical gifts to Aurora is entirely pointless, and they don't even give it a chance to finish with the third gift, which is also unimportant and useless in this story. Despite how horrible the three fairies are, they are essential to the story. I hate it, but it was pretty much necessary for them to be inept fools and charged with taking care of Aurora. I wish the film could just get rid of them altogether, but without the fairies, the movie wouldn't work. Overall, the fairies make me sad because they are terrible, but the story absolutely needs them. Another problem this movie has is that there are no excellent male characters. Outside of Diaval, who is actually a raven, so he doesn't count, there is not a single strong male character that can help make the girls better people. This isn't a problem necessarily, because the story is about Maleficent recovering from a tragic betrayal by experiencing motherly love. It's only about one aspect of the feminine. If it were a 3-hour movie, or if the sequel was anything besides a dumpster fire cash grab, they would have had time to make the feminine character arc more of a complete circle. I'm not saying Maleficent should have a romantic interest, because that wouldn't be right for her character, but with Aurora in the franchise and the story being about the nature of feminine love and growth, it really should have had compelling male characters that weren't weak or deranged. Altogether, this isn't something that makes the film bad, but I want to mention it because while this movie portrays the wounded feminine and the healing of compassion superbly, There are other aspects of the feminine spirit that would need to be explored for it to be a full-on examination of the female psyche. I don't see any reason to hate this movie, and I see plenty of reasons to like it. There's nothing particularly wrong with it except the fairies, and those are just dumb side characters that don't get too much screen time. Everything but the fairies is written well, and I love the progression and pacing. The bad stuff isn't that bad, and the good stuff is astonishingly good. Maleficent is a film that takes a new approach to the character with the most striking design in Sleeping Beauty and expands on it in pretty much the best way possible. Sleeping Beauty was a romantic fairy tale about young people, love at first sight, and slaying the dragon. Maleficent is about the tragedies that happen to a woman and shape her character in a relatable way, and how she overcomes those tragedies to become a better person. Not a perfect film, but one that I highly enjoyed and definitely recommend to those who appreciate stories about character growth.